We just can't escape this shit Prime Minister, can we? The only inspirational thing about Scott Morrison is he proved that yes, anyone can be Prime Minister as long as they have the entire backing of the press. Also, and he doesn't get enough credit for this one, he proved that you can be frowning and smirking at the same time. Look at him, he's a human YouTube comment. Robodebt. We've all heard about it in some form. Well, probably not if you're from Bhutan. Maybe that's why they're the happiest country on earth. So if you are from Bhutan or somewhere even more third world like Rockhampton, let's do a little recap of this massive scandal by the Liberal government. And I'm not talking about this scandalous little number that Tony wore. Rare. Look at that hair. He would have been the hottest man on earth in the 70s. Now he just has to settle for being the world's greatest. Anyway, basically starting in 2015, the government under Abbott decided to automate debt assessment and recovery in Services Australia, essentially an algorithm or robot, if you will. And if you're one of those Japanese men that ordered one of these, I know you will.
You heard about this one? Apparently, instead of sucking you off, it sucks out your wallet. So it's just like real life. Am I right? Am I right, folks? Wow!
Robodebt was set up to calculate how much money people owed the government instead of the previous manual system, or human, if you will. Which, if you're a man from Cairns who ordered one of these, I know you will.
You heard about this one? You seen this? Except,
However, instead of being an AI efficiency paradise, the methods to calculate the debt were as dodgy as any of these kebab shop owners ranking themselves as 5-star kebabs. What they did was use individuals' annual tax information provided by the ATO to determine average fortnightly earnings and then automatically establish welfare debts. Well, surprise, surprise, that led to massive miscalculations of debt, and the approach was even ruled unlawful by the federal court in 2019. Basically, random people were getting notices from the government that they owed thousands of dollars in debt for overpaid welfare. It's Aussie Minority Report. No actual prediction, just guessing. Gotcha, caffeine. What are you doing, mate? Well, you're probably going to weigh the onions at the self-checkout wrong at some point, so, better be safe than sorry. Furthermore, the burden of proof was moved from the government to these already stressed out and busy welfare recipients to prove that they did not owe these funds. Keep in mind, many of these people are the most hard done by and struggling Australians, people with disabilities, single parents. Your friend, probably called Oliver, that forces you to listen to mashups of songs on his shit phone speakers that you feel obliged to listen to because he's sharing his weed with you. Now, to most of us watching, we're thinking, $700, bro, just pay it. But a single mum, Sandra, said to the commission, they may as well have been asking for $1 million. You cannot get blood out of a stone. And remember, not everyone was able to pull through this stress and financial strain, and some Australians ended their own lives because of these false debts. So yeah, it's a pretty serious issue, and remember, this affected over 400,000 Australians. It's not just a little slip up in the system, it was the system. It took years of documented cases and complaints, Commonwealth Ombudsman investigation, 2 Senate committee inquiries, legal cases, a class action lawsuit, and an absolute mammoth effort by Bill Shorten, who was an absolute king, to finally destroy Robodebt with facts and logic. The Libs scrapped the system in 2020 without ScoMo or anyone making a formal apology. ScoMo was basically like, guys, I did what you wanted to, okay? And I'm sorry that people are poor, but what I absolutely want to make clear is, how do I shape my mouth like this? Why does it look like I'm frowning when I'm smiling? Where's the Royal Commission into that? I think we all deserve some answers. And look, so do I. I think we all deserve some answers on that front, but this crude version of a country run by ChatGPT, trying to get some more cash by going around the neighbourhood shaking down poor people, didn't even make bank when it was running. In 2019, remember, this is before the $1 billion class action settlement, Robodebt raked in $500 million, but it cost $400 million to run. If ScoMo wanted to make money exploiting poor people, why didn't he just consult an actual expert? Use Andrew Tate's proven method. Just set up an Australian Department of Lover Boys. Yeah, then I can be the minister of that too. Imagine that. Pimp minister. In fact, the Liberals are more like a 1950s gang than you think, as they even made use of private debt collectors to go and get money that people didn't owe. Actual loan sharks! I particularly like the Sharks part. But finally, the good news. When Albo got voted in, he announced a Royal Commission into the Robodebt scheme. Furthermore, he effectively forgave the debts of 197,000 people that were still under review. So, a year later, now, the most recent update is that the Royal Commission has completed their investigation and produced a 909-page document, which, Come on, guys, just round it up to 1,000. Do the old IPA trick and leave some of the pages intentionally blank to fatten it up. Still, this is an absolute tome. It's thicker than any Neil Stevenson book. Nowhere near as important, obviously, but it outlines the failings, that is 57 recommendations, and has a special sealed section with all the people who are implicated. These implicated persons are referred to 4 bodies for further action and investigation, and you don't know how bad I want to see the sealed section. It's like the sealed section in Cosmopolitan magazines, where I'm assuming much less incest. Because remember that? Every week. I'm having sex with my brother. Should I stop doing that? Again? They answered that last week. Well, certainly big things are going to emerge from this huge and detailed report. A couple of people were highly criticised, such as Christian Porter, Alan Tudge, Stuart Robert, and of course our old friend Scotty from marketing. The first hilarious thing about all of this is that they tried to ask Mr. Morrison his thoughts. However, you guessed it.
Scott Morrison, who's currently holidaying in Italy.
Nuts, isn't it? Every time. Kicking back with a nice Aperol spritz, waiting for this whole Royal Commission thing to just blow over. I'm sorry, I know this is a tired bit about ScoMo holidaying, but come on. You can't make this shit up. AirPods in, probably listening to a Jocko Willing podcast. I mean, he is from the Shire.
You're the man, Scott. A real man. You can take anyone on in this ferry.
Look at this man! It's so unprime ministerial, he looks like he owns a golf shop! The Royal Commission determined that Scotty had, quote, allowed Cabinet to be misled, and he gave untrue evidence to the Commission about income averaging, but ScoMo, chilling in the med, he's completely denied it. He literally said the meme line. He said that he rejected the findings and that they are wrong, unsubstantiated, and contradicted by clear documentary evidence presented to the Commission. I mean, if you stop and really think about it, ScoMo might have a point. After all, it did turn out that he was the entire cabinet, so how could he mislead himself? But yeah, all in all, the Liberals are facing some very entertaining repercussions, with Dutton floundering around trying to defend it. His favourite rebuttal is that Labor is politicising this highly political issue. I've been saying it a lot recently. Labor's politicising this. That is a bit like accusing a Formula One driver of speeding, isn't it? So, seeing as that seems to be the main line of attack, I wouldn't worry about the Liberals' defence too much. I certainly don't think Albo and Shorten are. Speaking of, shout out to them. Shorten especially. He really does put the servant back in public servant, doesn't he? He's been slaving away at this for years, and after years of fighting, people are finally going to face consequences. Unfortunately, we don't know who or what specifically, because that's in the sealed section. But I'm sure it'll come out in the wash, and Shorten is certain that people will face punishments for it, and this won't just be buried. Exciting times, and who knows, we might even have a completely new opposition party by next election. But speaking of the sealed section, if you want to see my sealed section, chuck us a couple of bucks on Patreon. You might even see more than you bargained for.
No, fuck off. He's talking about a Q&A and some extra stuff, not his cock.
Yeah, a Q&A about my cock. Hello, Rockhampton. You know what I like about your place? Malls. Anyway, now that the small talk's over, let's get down to business, which is my business. I'm coming up there to do a show, and it is about very, very naughty things. No, it's not a strip show, stop asking. I think you can guess from the title. Come see it, because that's the only way you're ever getting explained, trust me.